Joining me right now is the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia, Larry Sabato. Larry, good to see you.
Good morning, Maria.
So you've got some new information for us on the way things are looking for November, correct? We want to look at some of those swing states.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, because just recently, I guess some of the swing states have changed direction. So let's first look at Colorado. That's changed from people leaning Democrat to likely Democrat since July 22nd. Is that right?
Yeah, that's in our crystal ball rankings. That's correct. What's just changed is that the percentage of Hispanics has increased in not just the population, but the registered voter pool. That Donald Trump is receiving the lowest percentage of the Hispanic vote ever recorded for a Republican since Hispanics became important, not just in Colorado, but elsewhere.
Wow. All right. So now let's move over west on the map and go to Pennsylvania, because there's a story there as well. That's changed from likely Democratic to leaning Democratic. What happened there?
There was a period of time when it was possible that Donald Trump was going to put Rust Belt states like Pennsylvania in play because of his strong appeal to blue-collar, working-class, non-college whites. And then, believe me, it's whites, not minorities. Well, that's over. While he still has an appeal to that group, it's being overwhelmed by white college-educated voters and literally every category of minority voters, and they comprise 30% of the American voters this November.
Wow. All right. And then we want to move over to Virginia. Also a change here, because after Tim Kaine was added to the Democratic ticket, Virginia shifted from leans Democratic to likely Democratic. What does that tell us?
Yes. Well, good research in that field shows that a strong, popular vice presidential candidate, and that's exactly what Tim Kaine is in Virginia, very well liked in Virginia, he adds about 3 points to Hillary Clinton's lead. She already had a lead in Virginia. Now she has a lead that is beyond what Donald Trump can overcome.
Wow. Okay, so Arizona and Georgia also worth looking at. They've moved from likely Republican to leaning Republican. Another negative there.
Yes, and I wouldn't bet more than 10 cents that either one would end up in Trump's camp in the end. Right now, we've left them with Trump as a generic Republican candidate, but Arizona in particular, because of the large Hispanic population, has moved really to toss-up status. We don't use toss-ups on our map. We're very strict about that, and that's why we have Hillary Clinton at 347 electoral votes. You only need 270 to win.
Wow.
And Georgia is going the path, Maria, of Virginia and North Carolina. It's obvious eventually Georgia will be voting Democratic.
Now let me look at Utah here, because there's a similar happening in Utah that we saw in Colorado change as well. I mean, Utah went from safe Republican to likely Republican. What caused that?
Maria, it's bizarre. That's
a
70% Republican state, but that's also Mitt Romney's state of greatest influence. And frankly, Mormons in Utah and elsewhere are very anti-Trump for lots of reasons. And he simply is drawing the lowest percentage for a Republican since Barry Goldwater in 1964.
Wow, that's extraordinary, Larry. So it sounds like you think, I mean, certainly if the election were tomorrow, Hillary Clinton wins, but these swing states have really changed the game in terms of any lead that he had. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Trump had an uphill climb to the presidency, in my view, from the very beginning. We've always had Hillary Clinton the favorite. The difference is that the uphill climb is now on Mount Everest.
I see. Does this change the electoral map over the long term? I mean, there are some people out there who say, look, it doesn't matter. People don't admit who they're going to vote for, you know, at this stage of the game. So do you think this is long-lasting and change the electoral map longer term?
Maria, I've been around a long time, and I remember that the very same thing being said in 1964 about Barry Goldwater. There was an enormous army of people ready to come out for Barry Goldwater. They wouldn't tell the pollsters, and sure enough, he got 27 million votes, Maria. Problem is, Lyndon Johnson got 43 million.
All right. So you think that these changes are going to stick?
I think most of them will stick. I'm not saying that there can be no changes. We got a long way to go. But for Donald Trump to be elected, something giant has to happen. A major recession that nobody saw coming, or, God forbid, some massive domestic terrorist acts.
Well, they're both talking about the economy, and they're pushing their plans this week. Would that be something that would sway voters and change the makeup of this map?
No. No, this is an election where people, whether they're admitting it or not, have already made a choice. Believe me, you couldn't have two better defined candidates, better known candidates in advance.
Wow.
This is not a Jimmy Carter running, right? Somebody who's unknown? No. These two are very well known, and people basically have made their choice, the ones who are going to vote.
That's interesting. Larry, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bria.
Larry Sabato there. Coming up